Welcome to Adeptus On-Air, the show where we examine how individuals and companies make decisions that drive their business and personal success. Each week, we connect with notable professionals who pull back the curtain on the industries that Adeptus has been on the cutting edge of for the last 30 years, including music, sports, and entertainment, as well as new emerging markets.
Following the recording of this podcast, Leslie Jordan passed away. Our deepest condolences to all of his family and friends. Welcome to Adeptus On-Air. I'm Mike Hoffman, your host today, bringing you a candid conversation with our guest, Madisyn Shipman. Maddie, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Yeah, no, it's good to, I don't see Maddie too often. We're on two completely different coasts, so West Coast, East Coast. Fortunately, neither one of us is in Florida for what's going on today, but it's great to have you, and I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to chat with me for a little bit.
Of course, anything for you.
Good. I appreciate that. So for people who don't know Maddie, Maddie has been in several TV shows and movies in her, I don't want to say short career because it's a long career based upon how old you are, but give me a recap, Maddie, how a girl born in North Carolina ended up at, I think, age 4, hanging out with Elmo on Sesame Street.
Okay, so I'm from an itty bitty town in North Carolina called Kings Mountain. I grew up there until I was about 6.5, and I knew growing up that I always wanted to be an actress. I just didn't know how to go about doing that because no one really left Kings Mountain. So I told my parents I wanted to be on TV. That was my goal. And they thought I was crazy, of course, as any parent probably would. And then after a few years of badgering them a little bit, they finally said yes. So I tried it. I got an agent in Charlotte, and they sent me out on a few auditions, and I booked all the auditions that I went on. So they sent me to an acting convention in Florida called AMTC, and I signed with a manager and an agent in New York. So I went out to New York for a summer, booked a Broadway show, booked Sesame Street. A bunch of stuff happened that year. So we kind of had to move out to New York. So my mom quit her job, my dad quit his job, and we up and moved to New York, and we lived out there for about 6 or so years until I booked Game Shakers, and then we had 3 days to move out to California.
Okay, so Game Shakers, for everyone listening, was a Nickelodeon show. It was a Dan Schneider show. He's the creator of big time shows like Victorious, iCarly, and so forth like that. And Maddie was cast as one of the leads, and I believe that was over 60 episodes. I think over 3 or 4 seasons. So you booked that show, and then you're in New York with your entire family, and then boom, you're now cross country. And that's actually when I first met you. I met you, I think, the day after you got the call.
It was the day after, and we went to Hill Country, I think is the name of the place. It was the place that did karaoke.
Yeah, and that's where I first met you, at karaoke in New York City.
Gotta love it. It's such a fun time. Our whole relationship started from a good, fun place. And I think that's why we are so close. And I feel like I can talk to you and tell you pretty much everything. And you can be a big driving force in my career and life in general, because we started it on the foundation of fun and love and community and family.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So then you're in California, and along the way, you've done some movies as well. So why don't you talk briefly about some of the movies you've done?
Okay, so I've done Peanuts movie, which is Charlie Brown, and that was all animated. So over the course of about 2 years, we were doing all of the recordings for that. So it's completely different than if we were doing a TV show or a regular type movie. And then I also did Ordinary World with Billy Joe Armstrong and Selma Blair and Judy Greer and a bunch of other big names. And I was actually filming that whenever I was testing for Game Shakers. So that was a big whirlwind of emotions because they wanted me in California to do screen tests for Game Shakers to see if I was a good fit or not. And it just didn't work out that way because I was on set in New York filming. So they had to kind of just wait and see what happened. And then eventually they gave me the call and they're like, actually, no, we want you. So.
Yeah. So walk us through the process. I don't want to spend the entire time on this, but to book a TV show. So we're not even talking like a one-off movie, which is impressive enough, but to book a lead in a TV show on a major network, Nickelodeon's a major network. What is the process? How many times did you have to read? Was it all in person? Did you have to do chemistry tests with some of the other castmates? Like, what was the What was the process?
It was a bunch of hoops to jump through. That's probably the best way to describe it. The whole audition process was probably around the course of a year and a half. And it started off with just a regular self-tape because they were in California and I was in New York. So I went into Buckwald and they just did a regular tape for an audition like you would any other time. And I didn't hear anything. So I just assumed, okay, well, wasn't meant to be, whatever, move on to the next. And then they gave me a call and they're like, actually, we want you on a Skype session. So I did a few Skype sessions with Dan and with a bunch of like the other producers and writers. And it was just like a regular audition. It was just on a Zoom. And then they're like, okay, never mind. You're too similar to the other girl. So that was the end of it. And then they called back and they're like, actually, no, we want you in person. So it was a bunch of different instances of them telling me, oh, come in either in person at the Nickelodeon studios in New York or through Zoom or just a regular self-tape and do those. And then they would say, oh, no, you're not the right fit. So it was a bunch of hurdles. And towards the end of that, I was to the point where I was like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want to audition for this. It's the same thing over and over and over again. And I'm never good enough. So they gave me a call and they're like, we want you to read again. I'm like, not doing it. It's not worth it. You've told me that I'm too much like the other girl. I'm not doing this. It's not smart for my own sanity. And honestly, I was contemplating on quitting acting at that point because it was so frustrating. And then I feel like life always works this way. Whenever you're not focusing on something, that's whenever the good things come. And I wasn't focusing on it. And I was filming Ordinary World and they gave me a call and they're like, we want you in California. You're the right fit. We want you out there. We want you to do a chemistry test with Cree on camera to see if you guys actually have chemistry together and see if it's a good fit. So I come out to California. This was my first time ever going anywhere other than like
East Coast.
States. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I came out here. I was with Mom. And for anyone who doesn't know, my mom's my best friend. So of course she came with me. And we just made the most of it because deep down I knew there's the possibility of them saying, no, you're too much like the other girl, like they had every other time. So I was like, you know what? I've got to just take it lighthearted and just enjoy the fact that I'm in California. It's beautiful weather. I'd always dreamed of coming out to California because in movies it seems so perfect and fun and the weather's always nice. And you always hear stories about all these celebrities walking on the streets. That's not true. But we were like, you know what? We're going to make the most of it. So we come out and we were just having the time of our lives. I didn't even memorize my script for the chemistry read. Probably a bad call.
It's not your best move.
Not my best move, but whatever. It worked out in the end. So I did my chemistry read and it was going good. And they're like, can you pull your hair up into a ponytail? Because you still look too much like the other girl. Like, we've got to figure something out. That way you're not so similar. I'm like, yeah. So I tied it up. I wadded it up and it was what it was. We left and that was the end of it. And then they called like 2 or 3 weeks later, I want to say. And they're like, we need you back out in California to do another chemistry. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. Another hoop. So I come out and it was me, the girl from Sophia, Grace, and Rosie, which were these girls on Ellen, and another like random girl. I can't remember her name. So it was the three of us. And I did my screen test. I walked away thinking, you know what? I did not book this. I did not do good, but whatever. It's in Dan's hands. It's in the network's hands. If they want fish and chips, then great. If they want Southern fried chicken, great.
Yeah, exactly.
And it worked out. And I had 3 days to move out to California once we got the call. So a little crazy, but we made it work.
So you made a good comment before. And you were 12 or 13 at the time?
I had just turned 12.
Yeah.
Literally like 2 months after my 12th birthday.
Yeah. So realistically, you've had a lot of auditions that you've gotten the part you mentioned earlier, but you've also had many that you didn't get. And there's a lot more that you don't get than you do get. So how does anyone, but specifically a young female, 12 years old, probably insecure, having her own insecurities about everything in life, how did you handle the rejection, the constant rejection and the insecurity of, I don't look right. It's not even about, I don't look right for the part. Maybe I'm too tall, I'm too short. Well, you never heard you were too tall. But but you basically, criticisms are how does someone deal with that at that young age?
Honestly, mom always told me accept the rejection with open arms and use it as an improvement tactic, like something that you can focus on in the sense of, okay, what can I get better at? And that's always the mindset that I've had with it. And mom always told me, look, if this isn't right for you, then we're done. Like, we don't have to do this. This isn't something that I was forced into. And it really has been a passion of mine. And I think that's the key to finding acceptance in the rejection. If you really want something, you're going to have rejection. No matter what aspect of life you're living and what career you have, there's going to be rejection. And you have to just say, okay, that's part of it. That's part of the territory. It comes along with the job. And I've gotten to the point where I like the rejection because it shows, okay, well, at least I'm putting myself out there. At least I'm doing something. At least I'm getting my name out there to different casting offices. At least I tried. And it's also awesome whenever you get to audition for something and then the show comes out or the movie comes out and you're like, oh my God, like I auditioned for this. I want to watch it. And obviously there's a few roles that I've become attached to that I didn't book that I refused to watch just because there was so much emotion in some of those roles, and that's bound to happen.
Can you share one of them?
Yeah, one of them was Outer Banks. Okay. So a big show on Netflix. I had gotten into the finals from the auditions and everything. And the main takeaway that they told me was that I was too young because I wasn't legal 18. And they're like, we love you. You're great for this role. You're just not 18. So
what's the difference in Hollywood if you're 18 or you're not 18?
If you're under 18, there's a lot of restrictions, whether it's time restraints, schooling restraints, sex scenes, a little bit of everything. And especially because Chase was 26 or 27 at the time, it could have been like legalities and liability for them because I was underage.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that go into.
And oftentimes they'll cast an 18 or 20-year-old for a 16 or 17-year-old because they could work 12-hour days. There's no restrictions on what they can and can't do.
100%.
Right, because I know when I visited you with my family on the Game Shaker set, you know, you would be on set for an hour, and then you'd have to leave set, and you went right into your classroom. I actually believe the day I was there, you had a test because I remember then you went back on set, and when you came back, you went to check your test score to see how you did on your test. So even when you're working, you're also studying in breaks. You're not hanging out in your green room with your family and friends. You're actually using your free time, where some of the other kids who might have been 18 were free to do whatever they wanted.
Yeah, and we also had schooling on Saturdays too. And that was like a 6-hour day, and you would go into school on Saturdays because you had to bank hours.
Right.
And if you're doing school on a non-school day, then all of that time that you're spent in school goes into the bank so you can use it on your filming days. So it was super stressful to balance the whole schooling aspect with, okay, I have a job to do. Whenever I'm on set, I can't be thinking about school, but obviously that's going to be in the back of your mind, especially whenever you know you're falling behind.
Yeah.
Because you haven't had a lot of time to get all of your work done.
So now you're 12 years old, you now booked a TV show. Now you're going to be on TV, and you went from someone with relative, anonymity, meaning, not everyone knew you, to now you are going to, red carpet events. You're going to, Kids' Choice Awards on Nickelodeon. You're on stage playing a game with Demi Lovato, and all these things are happening to you. How do you keep grounded? And how do you not let this go to your head? Like, I'm a cool, I'm big time right now. Your social media, which I know you're big on social media, which we're going to talk about soon. You go from, practically no followers to once your first show aired, to 200, to 300, to 400,000. And now you're, I think, over 2 million.
Yeah.
How do you stay grounded? How does anyone stay grounded? But specifically, how does now a teenage girl stay grounded?
Honestly, my mom always told me if I was not humble and I was not grateful for the audience that I had and for the fans and everything, then I wouldn't be where I am today, which is true. And then she also told me that the second that I started acting ungrateful or like something was owed to me, I was done. That she was pulling me out. I'm not doing this because that's not how I was raised. And I think a lot of it has to do with morals and also just your family life. And mom tried to keep it very like I was a normal kid whenever I wasn't filming. So like whenever we were on hiatus, I would be doing things that a normal kid would do. And it was never, I was this celebrity. It was never like that. I never had that thought in my head. And even now, I don't even think about it like that. I think that my followers, yes, it's great and a big blessing, but they're more like friends and family that I just talk to and have an open communication relationship with, rather than them being something to my game, if that makes sense.
No, that makes complete sense. And so, and you do communicate with them a lot, and that kind of brings the conversation a little bit to social media, because you're on all platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. What is your approach? When basically any entertainer, you're selling your brand, and the brand is whatever you make yourself out to be. And you can look at some celebrities that, some musicians that go from conservative to very punk to this, and they just basically change their look and their image because that's what they think the fans want. But you've been very consistent, in your young career being who you are. Mm-hmm. But again, you're very active on social media. So what is your approach in terms of using social media to help you stay involved with your fans and stay out there, and so forth?
I don't think monetize is the right word to use, but I just show my actual life. If I'm at church, then I show that I'm at church. If I don't want to be on social media, then I don't post on social media. And I used to get into a lot of trouble for that, especially whenever I was on Game Shakers, because we had social media, like a team that told the parents, okay, you guys have to post this. We weren't doing the posting. I got home from set after a 10.5-hour day, and I didn't want to post on social media. I didn't want to take pictures. Right. That wasn't what was making me happy. So the parents felt responsible for that. And after the show ended, I was like, oh my God, I don't have to post on social media. This is such a blessing. And now I just post whenever I feel like it. Yeah, if I have pictures in the kitty, that's pretty much what we call it. Like, if there's pictures that are ready to be posted, then I'll post them whenever I feel like it. Or if I need to take pictures, then I do it whenever I feel like it. But it's not a set thing, and it's very transparent in my life and what I'm doing and how I actually am, and just
you also take a different approach too. And I'm going to use today as an example. You post like anyone else does, a picture of yourself at the beach or at a baseball game or the fun stuff that you're doing. But then something like today, where you actually post a motivational message to your listeners. Like today, you posted, "It's not the size of the step, it's the direction."
Yes.
So today, what ran through your head? Did you say, I want to find something motivational to post, or was that something that was in your mind and you decided to post it?
Okay, so that's actually a quote from our pastor at church that I heard last Sunday. And I wrote it down because I was like, wow, that really does speak volumes in my life. And I think it would to other people. So I wrote it down and I was like, whenever the right picture comes, then I'll caption it that. And I saw that picture and I was like, well, I don't have a caption for it yet. I might as well just use this. But I do talk about personal development and motivation because that's what helps me. And if it helps me, then it might be able to help someone else, even if it is just one person. So I'm very transparent in, if I'm having a bad day, I post my bad day and we laugh at it. And we try to find a good approach to how to deal with that bad time, because bad times are bound to happen. It doesn't matter if you're the richest person in the world or the most famous person in the world or just a regular person. There's going to be good and bad. That's just life. There's ups and downs, and you have to just accept those downs to get to the good.
Yeah. You said it beautifully. So let's talk about your team, because I think what's remarkable about you is, like I said, you're still young. For those listening, you are how old now?
19.
19. You're 19 years old, but you basically had, for most of your career, the same team around you.
Yeah.
So when I say team, I mean your agents, I mean your accountants, your financial people, and so forth. So what makes a good team for you? And you've stayed with them, which isn't common in the industry, both on the financial side and also on the representation side. You see people moving agencies all the time, their financial advisors changing all the time, but you stayed consistent. What do you look for, and why has your team worked for what your life objectives are?
I think trust and communication is the biggest key in a lasting relationship, whether it's a business relationship, a personal relationship, or even a relationship with a loved one. I think that trust is something that's earned, and it doesn't just come naturally, but with my team especially, they've earned their trust. And I have not experienced anything bad in form of trust that would make me want to step away or change representation or change accountants or anything. And especially with you, Mike, like your family. At this point, we've been together. I've grown up around you. Like you've seen me grow up. I was literally 12 whenever I met you. So the fact that you've been able to see each aspect of my life and I can go to you and you really are like a father figure to me in the sense of we have a relationship. I'm friends with your daughters. I love them to death. And I think that's the biggest key because yes, there's business, but there's also a person. And whenever someone tries to get to know you as a person, that means so much. And that goes a lot farther because it's showing that they're not after something that they can gain. It's truly about, okay, I care about you.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. So now you've taken this acting career and most recently you were on a big show on Fox. You want to talk about that briefly before we segue over to something else?
Sure. Okay. So Call Me Kat. That was a really fun audition. I did not have my script memorized. I think this is just like a telling.
That seems to be a trend with you, not having your script memorized.
Well, sometimes it's just like, I'm not in the mood and that's okay. Like there's good days and there's bad days. And it was just a bad day and I was not in the mood to film an audition, but it was due the next morning. And I was like, you know what, whatever. Like this girl is a social media influencer. I don't have to worry about it, whatever. So I kind of put it on the back burner and I was like, you know what, I'll just do it. And I mean, I'm not harping on this role. I don't need it. I don't necessarily want it. Yeah, it would be great if it happened, but I don't need it. So I just filmed my audition. It was a self-tape. We filmed it at probably 10:30 at night, which is so bad. And it shouldn't have been filmed that late, but it's just how it worked out. And I was reading the script on my phone because she was talking into her phone. So I was like, oh, well, if I forget my lines, then I can just have them pulled up on my phone and read them if worse comes to worse. And I did that and I sent the audition in and I was like, yeah, I definitely didn't book this, but whatever. Walked away and then I went on vacation and I was visiting a friend and I got the call while I was literally there. And like, you have to come home early. You booked the role. Like you've got to be out here for filming. I'm like, oh, okay, wow, was not expecting that, but this is great. And then it just made the experience a whole lot better because whenever I got onto set, it was a completely different relationship than it was for the Nickelodeon show. There was ups and downs with that. And especially whenever you are filming with people for so long, you grow up together, your family, there's going to be good and there's going to be bad. But towards the end of Game Shakers, there was a lot of turmoil, and I don't really know why. It probably had something to do with all the raging hormones because we were all like 16 at the time the show ended. And hormones play a big factor in life and how you take things and what you say and what you do. So it was just nice to be able to work with a group of people who were adults and took everything seriously and wanted to like be there. And it actually showed that they wanted to be there. It wasn't for something else that they were trying to gain. They genuinely liked being on set. And it was fun and it wasn't taken so seriously. And I think that's the key. You can't take it so seriously because the second that you start taking things so seriously, you lose track of the actual reason of why you're doing what you're doing.
Now that show stars Mayim Bialik.
Yes.
Who, similar to you, was a star of a TV show in her young teens. And I remember watching that show as a kid. That show was Blossom. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but she was a star.
I've never seen it, but Mom loved it. She's like, oh my God, that's Blossom.
Did she have any conversations with you on set? Because I know you told me you guys had some nice conversations, but did she give you any advice about being at this point, a young adult in the industry? Did she give you any words?
Yeah, she did. And she's like, don't take it seriously. And that's why anytime I get an audition, yes, I like step foot into the character's shoes, but I'm not harping on it and I don't need it. If it's meant to be, it'll be. And I think that's the biggest takeaway that I took from my conversations with Mayim, because she told me the second that you start taking things so seriously, you're not going to book anything because you're focusing too much on, oh, I've got to do this exactly like this. And that's not what you want. You want it to be real and you want it to you want to really capture the watchers and the viewers in a way that seems realistic. So that was probably my biggest takeaway. And she's very sarcastic like I am, and we just had fun. We were giggling the whole time. And another like weird thing that was a big adjustment was Fox only does like a few takes of each scene, whereas for Game Shakers, we did probably 50 takes of each scene, if not more. And it was so weird going from like 50 to 80 takes of each scene to 5 or 6 and being done so quick and everything just moving smoothly and there's no drama and it's just easy and fun and you're just goofing off. And that was a big thing of like, that's what I want to find a set that works in that way. I want to be comfortable with my other castmates. I want to be happy. I want to be there because I want to be there, not because I'm forced to be there.
Well, that cast has some very seasoned professionals, so Susie Kurtz and Leslie Jordan. So, it's definitely, it was probably a great experience for you.
It really was. And Leslie's like my gay grandpa now.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. And now you've taken your career a little bit. You're still focusing on your acting, but you've gone in a different direction over the past year a little bit. I don't want to say a different direction. You've taken part of your time in another direction and you've recorded some music.
Yes.
So let's talk about that a little bit. What was the impetus to doing that? And tell us where you're at with that and your thoughts on it so far.
Okay, so I've been doing music since I was like 9. I was in a band whenever I was living in New York. I had written a whole EP, never released it because I was too scared. And then we moved out to California and I'm like, no, I want to get back into music. So I went and recorded more songs and then never released them because I was too scared. And then COVID hit. And I was in a relationship with this guy who I had known since I was like 13. And everything was going great. And then he sent me a text in the middle of the night and was like, I can't give you 100% right now. This isn't working out. And then literally like 4 days later, he was on vacation with another girl. So obviously I was heartbroken. Obviously I was upset. Obviously there were so many emotions going on inside my head. So I needed an outlet and I turned to music because that's my form of therapy.
And which song came out of that breakup?
That was Flying Solo.
I'm flying solo. I got a one-way ticket to a place that you'll never go.
That was your first release, correct?
First release. And I wrote another song while we were in the Flying Solo session and just never released it because it wasn't really fitting. But that one takes more of like the actual situation that was going on. And it was just put into word form, into a song form. And it gave me reassurance and it gave me a clear state of mind on the whole relationship. And I think that's why I love music so much, because I'm able to be raw and talk about my actual life and just find a way to put it into a way that I can cope with, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And different than how it was when I was younger, you don't necessarily need to release an album because we're not going to a store to buy an album.
Yeah.
You can release songs at a time, and then those are obviously available for, download. So where are your songs now? If someone wanted to listen to your songs, where can they get them?
Apple Music, Spotify. I think they're on SoundCloud, I think.
Okay.
YouTube, pretty much every streaming platform.
Yeah, they're catchy. Flying Solo, when I first heard that, after like playing it a couple times, the chorus, the hook, it's in your head. I could sing it right now. I won't because that's probably not the best idea for a podcast. But I could sing the whole thing right now. But yeah. When I go at her playlist, I guarantee you that song. A few of your songs are in her playlist, so they'll definitely be popping up as we're driving.
And Mike, you've heard a bunch of the songs before they've been released.
Yeah.
Like whenever I went and visited you, I played you a bunch of the roughs. And I
remember when I picked you up at the airport, I think it was last summer, you came to spend a week with the family. I think as we were driving back to the airport, I think you did like a red eye. And in the car, you played me, I think, 2 or 3 songs. Mm-hmm. And I was very honest. There's one, I don't remember the song. I remember there's one I did not like. And I told you.
I can't remember the one that you didn't like,
but there was one I'm like, yeah, it doesn't, I don't know what it was. And again, they're rough cuts, so they're not as, the music behind it isn't as, formalized.
Mhm.
You're not singing it with all the bells, probably full force and so forth. But yeah, no, it was interesting to me to see that other side of it, and not just the business side and the expense side and the budgeting for the videos, and things like that. But it was neat to hear it in the rawness of it before it became final. But no, you
There's a lot of different things that go into the music side because there's the expenses and the invoices and the budgeting for videos and the budgeting for your sessions and then paying songwriters and paying the producers and paying the masters to like get everything mastered and mixed.
yeah,
There's a lot of that. And then there's also the actual session of, okay, the raw emotion going in to make these songs.
yeah.
Hmm.
It definitely is a process. So now we're here now, we're acting, we're doing the music.
Yep.
How in a perfect world, how would you like to see the next 5 or 10 years go for you?
5 or 10 years. Oh, okay. My biggest thing is I want to still have like a solid relationship with my family. I hope to be in a long-term relationship. That means engaged or married, then great. But we have to find a boyfriend first for that. So,
We're not talking about that aspect. Don't worry, you're safe.
but then with like the business and career side, I want to still be acting. I hope that I'm either on a long-lasting show that I'm happy with and feel like is a great representation of who I am. I'm filming movies. I'm releasing more music, hopefully on tour. Like, there's a bunch of different things that I hope happen, and I'm doing all the right things. And as long as I'm still happy and still in a good frame of mind, then that's all that matters.
And what I admire about you so much is while you're doing all that,
Mhm.
you started college.
Yes,
Yeah. So this is your first semester, I believe, correct?
second semester.
How's it going so far?
Whew, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Last semester, I only took 2 classes. And then this semester, I was like, no, I'm going to be ambitious and do 4. And I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot right now. I'm a
Yeah.
little stressed out just because I'm taking all of my hard classes at the same time. And that probably wasn't very smart to do.
Right.
But it's okay. It's life. And I just have to push through it and get it done.
Listen, you can never go wrong having that degree.
Exactly.
Having that degree. All right. This is the most important, hard-hitting question I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
Who did you like working with better? Selma Blair or Elmo?
That's a hard one. That's a hard one. Whew.
I told you this was going to be hard-hitting. I was going to come at you hard today.
Well, there's like good memories associated with the whole Elmo thing because like Sheryl Crow was on set and like Mom and I loved Sheryl Crow, so we met Sheryl Crow. And then like Zoe, which is on Elmo, I got to hold her and that's not allowed. And I got to take pictures holding the puppet. And it was a big just it made me very grateful to be in the position that I'm in. Whereas like with Selma Blair, like I loved her in Cool Intentions and Legally Blonde. So being able to work with someone like that was so amazing.
And she
And
played your mom, correct?
Huh?
You played your mother in the movie?
She played my mom. So being able to have a bunch of scenes with someone like that and get advice and just have someone to talk to was a terrific experience.
I told you, it's hard questions.
I think I would have to say Elmo because I don't think I would be where I am right now if I wouldn't have had that experience.
Yeah.
I think that's how I would that's where I would go just because they made it really fun for me and that really was one of the driving forces of my career and why I'm still doing what I'm doing.
Although Selma Blair is on Dancing with the Stars and Elmo is not.
That is true. That is true. But Elmo has been on for
Yeah.
how long?
Yeah. No, but you want to talk about inspiring. I don't know if you've been watching Selma on Dancing with the Stars, but having her dance with her MS that she's fighting right now, you want to talk about it, inspirational.
It's crazy. She's such an inspiration. She really is a good person. And I still text her from here and there, and I love her to death. That's such a hard question, Mike.
That's all right.
I don't know. It's a little bit of both. I haven't been watching Dancing with the Stars, but I do love her, and she's a big inspiration. And I've taken a lot of tips from her, and I'm very grateful for that.
There you go. Perfect. So what's so funny story. I remember we were in Disney World together.
Yes, we did.
You went to Disney World with one of my daughters, myself. We took a little 4-day vacation. And as we're walking through Disney,
Yep.
you get a call from your agent that you have to do 2 tapings, 2 recordings. And you had said to my daughter, okay, I need you to read with me when we get back to the hotel. 8, 9 o'clock, no big deal. So you got back, you changed. You had to make do with whatever outfits you had for the trip because I believe one character you were doing was like a tough teenager and one was like a softer character. So for the one you had to wear a jacket and the one you did your hair differently.
Yeah.
And my daughter's waiting to read with you. She had rehearsed the lines. And then you're ready to go. And why don't you tell everybody what happened?
Well, Chelsea passed out.
Yeah. So what do we do at
Passed
10:30 night when Chelsea passes out and you need a reader?
Mikey reads with me. And it was honestly like the greatest experience. I think that brought us closer together because you got to see all the raw things that go into filming a tape. And there's so many great stories that I have and like memories associated with taping with you and Chelsea because this one still like just goes to my head immediately whenever I think about taping with you guys.
Yeah.
Was whenever I was reading with the gay dad and Chelsea put on that whole get up of like the heels and the tights and the little like workout shorts and a crop top and a bra over top. It was the funniest thing ever.
I got to tell you, I struggled with it because not only was I reading, but I had to hold the phone to record.
Yes.
And I was planning on just holding the phone while Chelsea read. And I was okay. I had good balance, but it was a 5-page script. And turning a page for me became quite the challenge. You memorized your lines, but I hadn't memorized anything because I didn't know I was reading. So it was very hard for me to hold the phone in one hand and actually keep turning the script. So I remember I was very nervous because I felt responsible. And then it was a big video file. And then the Wi-Fi wasn't strong enough at the hotel to get the file through. So it was definitely a very stressful time. But
it was, but like in hindsight, it was so funny. And like we still talk about it to this day. And I think that's the key. Like you've got to find those good moments and find the good memories associated with the stressful times.
No, absolutely. I still laugh back. And in fact, I was going through my Google Photos that they looking for some other picture of something like, I forget, my kids wanted a picture of someone, they were posting something. And I came back to the audition video. So,
oh my gosh.
I still on my phone because it automatically saves my Google Photos. So I actually still have it. Yeah. So I look back at all the pictures, you with all the characters. I remember I had a fun one with Snow White. So yeah, definitely good times. But you've definitely become like an honorary, member of the family.
Well, you're as I refer to Mike, I refer to him in my text as Uncle Hoffman. That was a funny story.
Yeah, so
you really are family, and I'm very grateful for you.
So the second time I met Maddie did me a favor. She was coming through New York, and my wife's a school principal, an elementary school, and Game Shakers was right in the middle of season 1, so it was pretty popular for kids shows. And you said you'd come to school and meet the kids. And I talked to you once or twice, but at that age, I'm not really dealing with you. I'm dealing with your mom, and so forth. And she's up there. And you're up there talking to the kids are asking questions, and you had a complete brain freeze, and you forgot my name.
Could not remember your name for the life of me.
I'm sitting in the back next to your mom. My wife's up there running the assembly with you, and you just forgot my name. So quick on your feet.
I couldn't remember yours. Couldn't remember.
So what do you refer to me as in front of all the kids?
Uncle Hoffman.
Uncle Hoffman. And we're now 6 years later and it's still kind of stuck. So that's sometimes how nicknames kind of come about. But you've always been very kind doing stuff like that. I know you've done it for me for certain people. We knew that were fans, and I know you do it for other people all over, because someone like you who's such a positive person with your motivation and your things like that, you probably don't realize it. You have a very positive impact on people, and there's enough people in your position who have as much influence, but might not be as positive. And, you haven't gotten in trouble. You haven't made the news for anything other than positive things. And if you did, I know your mom would kill you. But
I try to lead my life in the most positive ways. and put out positive energy and good energy, because that's what I'm going to attract back into my life. And I'm trying to be that good driving force and a good role model to these kids, because I know that they grew up watching me, and I still have a lot of young followers. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm putting out a good image, and I'm not posting in lingerie or starting an OnlyFans like a lot of people are nowadays. And
Yep.
I think that's just because my brand isn't that person.
Right.
I've never been that person, and I don't want to be that person. Yeah, I post in my bikinis every once in a while whenever I'm at the beach or at the pool, but I'm not over sexualizing myself like a lot of other people are.
Yeah. Well, your brand to me is authentic. Your brand is you. Some people that are on OnlyFans, that's a character they're playing.
Mhm.
And when you take them out of their OnlyFans account or you take them out of their postings, they're a completely different person. And that's okay, because that's the brand they want to sell.
Yep.
And it works. But your brand, I can honestly say, is who you are. And that's with the core values that you've been instilled in, your religious faith, your family beliefs, and things like that. And I think it's a credit to you that you through all this, you've kind of, you've stayed true to yourself. You're
Yeah,
the
I'm
same
still
person.
a person. I still work a regular job. I work at my gym part-time just to keep myself grounded and have money coming in whenever I'm not acting or not doing music, just because I think that is smart. I want to have multiple sources of income, and I enjoy it. It makes me happy. And then I'm also nannying for a 4-month-old baby now. He was 6 weeks old whenever I started doing that, and it's fun and it's enjoyable. And I think at the end of the day, it does keep me grounded, and it does keep me grateful for the things that I get to do. That's the biggest thing. I'm not forced into anything. I'm getting to do these auditions. I'm getting to be on set. I'm getting to follow my dreams and pursue music or pursue acting. I'm getting to do all of this. So in order for me to truly experience everything, I think that you do have to have the bad times. And yeah, there's days that I don't want to go into a regular job or work a regular job, but it has shaped me into the person I am today. And I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, it's a perfect place to end this. Before I let you go, where can
Yes.
people find you? Give me your tags for social media.
Okay, Instagram is Madisyn Shipman. My TikTok is It's Madisyn Shipman, and my Snapchat is Madisyn Shipman.
Okay, and they can find your music, you said, on Spotify, Apple Music, and a few other places as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maddie, I really appreciate you taking the time. It's always good talking to you. And in this forum, it was awesome. So I really appreciate it. And we'll talk soon.
All righty. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Adeptus On-Air. If you like this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. If you have a question related to this episode or have a request for what you would like to hear, please email us at marketing@adeptuscpas.com. You can also find us at adeptuscpas.com online or follow us at Adeptus on social media. The views and opinions by the podcast speakers and guests are solely their own and do not reflect the opinions of Adeptus. This podcast provides general information only and is not intended to constitute advice.